So Imam Abu Hanifa, his view is Jama' Haqiqi is not allowed at all except in Muzdalifah and Arafah, on the day of Arafah. He said the only Jama' allowed is Jama' Suri. How do they then answer these ahadith? And there's not one, two, three, there are tons of ahadith on Jama'. There are loads of ahadith. If anyone wants to deny them, it would be crazy. There are tons of hadith on this matter. If I explain to you one view, inshallah, because I'll explain to you the Hanafi view, it's easier for me, and then you will understand the other view. You already got the other view. Other madhahib, they look at the zahir of riwayah and they take from it. And they have dalil. They have dalil. It's not that they don't have dalil. Ahnaf, they always say, well, the Quran is above it, the dalail of hadith, the Quran is first, and if there are two ihtimalat, if that you look at riwayah and there are two possibilities of interpreting it, and one of it matches Quran and one of it doesn't, then you must take what matches the Quran. Make sense? Did that make sense? For example, there is a hadith in Bukhari narrated by Amr bin Dinar. Okay, that's a famous hadith. Hadith of Amr bin Dinar. He narrated from who? He narrated from Jabir ibn Zayd. His name is known as Abi Sha'atha. That Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam prayed Dhuhr and Asr together, and Maghrib and Isha together. No fare, no traveling. Yeah. This is in Kitab Mawaqit Salah, Bab Ta'khir al-Dhuhr ila al-Asr. So, this student of the narrator, Abi Sha'tha, the Jabir bin Zayd, his student is Amr bin Dinar. He asked him, he told him that from this hadith, he took the hadith from his sheikh and he said, I understand from the hadith, أظنه أخر الظهر وعجل العصر. I think what it means is that he delayed the dhuhr and he made the asr early. Abi Sha'tha said, this is how I understand it too. And you will find more discussion, like if you read a hadith and if you want to know what the Rawi said about the hadith, the books like Musannaf of Abdul Razak San'ani and Tamheed of the Ibn Abdul Barr I was telling you about, Ibn Abi Shayba, his Musannaf, and Sunan al-Bayhaqi, and these books, they tend to discuss that sometimes, which is very, very beneficial. So even though the hadith on the face of it can mean both things, but the Rawis, the Ahnaf say, well, even the Rawis, they say this is a proof that it's supposed to be Jama' Suri. The other hadith of Abdullah bin Umar, and very famous hadith. Abdullah bin Umar got news that his wife, Safiya bint Abi Ubaid, she was unwell. So he started traveling. When he was traveling, the Maghrib Salah was started, and the companions thought that he forgot about the Maghrib. And they said to him, look, the Maghrib time is going to finish. He said, I have seen Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I saw Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam combining two salahs, and this is what we're going to do today. Now there are two possibilities. How did they combine it? They either combined it end of one salah, beginning of other, or either they combined it in Isha. Both. Yeah. Those who say Jama Haqiqi, they take this riwayah because this riwayah comes from Nafi'. This riwayah comes from who? Nafi'. 7 people has narrated this riwayah from Nafi'. One of the famous one who is narrated Ayyub Sikhtiyani. This Ayyub Sikhtiyani in his riwayah, he said specifically that, very specifically, he said that Ibn Abbas, after the shafaq had disappeared, he prayed. Ibn Abbas, after the shafaq prayed, he prayed Maghrib and Isha. But if the Hanafis, they don't settle for that. They say no. This riwayah from Nafi' is being narrated by Layth ibn Sa'ad. This Ayyub Sikhtiyani is one of them. Imam Malik has narrated it. Usama bin Zayd narrated it. There are Attaf ibn Khalid Makhzumi narrated it. Abdul Rahman bin Jabir narrated it. There are 7 people narrated it. So if you look at all the other riwayats, for example, the other riwayats don't match the riwayah of Ayyub Sikhtiyani. Attaf ibn Khalid al-Makhzumi, his riwayah says, حتى كاد الشفق أن يغيب. When the shafaq was about to disappear. Yeah? ثم نزل فصلى وغاب الشفق فصلى العشاء. Did you understand this? In his riwayah, he said, when the shafaq, the maghrib was about to finish, when he got down, he prayed maghrib, and then the shafaq disappeared, Isha started, and he prayed Isha, for example. This is one riwayah. Then, ثم أقبل علينا فقال هكذا كنا نصنع مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا جد به السير. He said, and then he turned to us and he said, this is how we used to pray with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was, in a rush, basically, in easy way to translate it. So the other riwayats, now you have 2 riwayah from same Nafi'. You have 2 riwayah. One guy is saying, this is what Ibn Umar did, right? And the one riwayah saying that he did the other. The others there are more riwayats on this, but the fact is they're both riwayats, right? The Hanafis, the one who took the take Ayyub Sikhtiyani's riwayah, okay, he's got Sahih riwayah. You can't say to him, argue with him, khalas. This is madhab. That's his madhab. The Hanafis, they say, well, in Ayyub Sikhtiyani's riwayah, they say, he said, this is what Ibn Abbas did. But the other riwayah, he said, there is no mention of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in that one. But the other riwayah said, هَكَذَا كُنَّا نَصْنَعُ. This is how we used to do. And he specifically said he prayed Maghrib before and then. If same safar, same travel, and then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's action is mentioned by name there, so they say, in this case, we will take that hadith over this one anyway. But the fact that that one goes with the Quran, we would have taken that anyway. Yeah. This one you can find in Sunan Nisa'i. Okay. And also, Aisha radhiyallahu ta'ala anha has narrations that he did Jama of Salatain. So, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did. But she also has a narration which says he prayed Dhuhr at the end of time and Asr in his first time. So, those who do Jama Suri, they said, well, we don't take any, the riwayah of all Aisha's riwayah will be based on that. If she's saying that's how we prayed, so wherever she says Jama Salatain, this is what it means. Great? Good. There is another riwayah of Anas radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He said, in Sahih Muslim, he said, إِذَا عَجِلَ عَلَيْهِ السَّفَرُ يُؤَخِّرُ الظُّهْرَ إِلَىٰ أَوَّلِ وَقْتِ الْعَصْرِ. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was in travel, what he would do, he will delay the Dhuhr to the first time of Asr. فَيَجْمَعُ بَيْنَهُمَا. Then he prayed the 2 together. Then وَيُؤَخِّرُ الْمَغْرِبِ, he would delay the Maghrib حَتَّى يَجْمَعُ بَيْنَهُمَا, until he pray and do jama between the two. Yeah? بينها وبين العشاء حين يغيب الشفق. So this riwayah, if you can interpret it the way you want. The one who said is Jamasuri, he said, well, he said he delayed the Dhuhr until the first time of Asr, then he prayed two together. The Ahnaf say, well, that's Jamasuri, he took it to ila, can have the implication of ila we discussed when we were discussing wudu, yeah, ila al-marafiq. So they say this is to, doesn't mean in the Asr time, is to the Asr time and Asr with it. The other said no, ila Asr means in Asr. Yeah. So there are two interpretations possible of some of hadith, and those who like the idea of Jama' Haqiqi, they use that as this, and Ahnaf will always say it can only mean Jama' Suri, because otherwise it goes against the Quran. Also, you will find Sahih hadith from Abdullah bin Mas'ud. I'll just quickly go through it. Well, I won't go through the hadith. Abdullah bin Mas'ud, he has mentioned Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. There are actually the most famous, any riwayah of Abdullah bin Mas'ud will be based on this riwayah, which he said, ما رأيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في صلى في غير وقتها إلا في يوم عرفة. I never saw Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم pray two salahs or salah other than his time except on the day of Arafah. There is another hadith, it says وَالَّذِي لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُ. Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم didn't pray salah outside his time. قط, he did qasam on it, he never done it except on the day of Arafah. So what about all these riwayas of Jama'? They say this is still in his time. Yeah.